Hey guys, so this is the preview for a prophetic dream. It's actually the second half of the prophetic dream for which I put out a preview around 5 months ago. So that preview was for the first part of the stream in which I was shown Argentine military forces annexing Las Malvinas, which is the Spanish-speaking world's name for what we in the English-speaking world call the Falkland Islands. So the first part of the dream, I was showing stuff that was happening on the Falkland Islands from the air and on the ground. And then the second part of the dream, which I will get into in the full future video, I'll just kind of give the gist, the basic message of that second part of the dream, because I'm not in a position to do the full video now. That's why I'm doing this preview. It's sort of a compromise middle ground, if you will. My life situation and circumstances are just too challenging to permit me to do a full decent job of it. But I want to get out in front of this because the second part of the dream is actually perhaps showing early signs of fulfilling already. But you know, if you say after the event takes place historically, I had a prophetic dream about that before it happened, everyone's like, oh yeah, cool story, bro. And that's fun. It doesn't mean anything because you've got no proof. So I want to get out in front of it because I believe this dream was prophetic. I believe it was from God. Please refer to the disclaimer in the description box below if you've not already done so. There'll quite possibly be some Spanish speakers watching this using Google and translating it using subtitles. I know from my analytics, if that's the case, just copy and paste the disclaimer in the description box. It's at the top of the description box below, and just translate it online. Please read that if you're a Spanish speaker watching this, because I have been getting some more views from Argentina lately. Basically, the second part of the dream showed that Argentina is about to return to great financial wealth, abundance and prosperity. So there's a kind of ascension coming, where Argentina is going to really start to, at first slowly, but then quickly, it's going to be like I think it's kind of going to go exponential. Really, at first it's going to be quite slow, but then it's going to be really accelerate, and then it's going to really pick up speed, and they're going to move faster and faster towards the levels of wealth they were at around 100 years ago, when Argentina was one of the top 10 richest countries in the world. And there's that famous saying, well, there was actually a saying, not a lot of people aren't aware of this, as rich as an Argentine. I think from memory, Argentina was as wealthy as the Great Britain / the UK. I think they called it Great Britain back then. France and Germany. It was as rich as those countries, if not richer, 100 years ago. So interestingly, they'll just be, if this happens, which I believe it will, Argentina will just be returning to where they once were. It's not like anything new. They had it, they lost it. So, I mean, but that's very positive and hopeful. And I was shown, you know, there was huge, because of the levels of wealth, the government, and there was less corruption too. So the government had a lot of money to upgrade all kinds of different things. And I mean, if you look at Argentina's geography, it really should be a much stronger and much wealthier country than it is. It's really just been poor long-term economic and financial policy, the bane of the whole of South America, Latin America, corruption, and problematic kind of, how did I describe it? Deeply entrenched kind of cult of personality politics, from what I understand, more or less. I mean, you know, there's many different reasons why Argentina is in the current economic situation it's in right now, but if I had to sort of summarize it from what I understand, those are the three main reasons. And I will put a link in the description box below to a video which summarizes the economic history of Argentina. I've watched a few of these, so I'll have to go through and find the one I'm thinking of, but there was one which was particularly good, and if you look at the comments, there's a lot of Argentinians saying blah blah blah, I've seen a lot of these, this is the best one I've seen. Does a really yeah, it's in-depth, pretty accurate, and fair and balanced summary of Argentina's economic history, and that what I'm describing, how they used to be really wealthy and prosperous, but they lost it. Well, on the bright side, I was shown, if what I was shown is correct, as I believe it is, the good news is they're about to get it back. And it couldn't happen to a nicer group of people, if I do say so myself. I've met people from all around the world, many different countries, and very few from which I consistently get the kind of warm, positive, loving, kind, spiritual energy that I get from most Argentinians. You want to hear a wacky, crazy story? I couldn't believe this when it happened. I'm not bragging, genuinely. I was just kind of like baffled. I was like, what the heck? What just happened? What just happened? I was so like shocked. It still kind of shocks me to this day, if I'm honest. How did I get a chick like that? I mean, to get interested in me. So, and maybe I must have had past lives. I think I must have had multiple past lives in Ecuador, Argentina, and Chile, because I seem to connect with the people there very strongly without really doing anything. And this was happening at the beginning of the last decade, in the 2010s, before I even understood the dynamic. It was happening to Spanish people too. I definitely had, I believe in past lives. I've definitely had a ton of past lives in Spain. But I had an environmental studies class, a second year university paper. There was this nice brunette girl with a kind of pixie cut, looked kind of quite sophisticated and cultured, who used to sit next to me. We talked a bit. I think it worked. I think partly I got her interest because I genuinely was kind of oblivious to the fact that she was interested. So it came across like I was, you know, it's like playing hard to get. I was kind of acting like I wasn't interested when I would have been. I was just genuinely oblivious, like, you know, guys, that classic thing of guys being oblivious to women giving subtle clues that they're interested in the guy. I think that kind of piqued her interest in me more. Anyway, she asked me out after a while, and we went out on a date, and it turned out she was the daughter of the current ambassador, Argentinian ambassador to New Zealand. And she got dropped off for the date, which was at the Wellington Botanic Gardens, in a diplomatic corps Bentley, which was worth a car that's worth like the car was worth like at least 150 grand, and she got dropped off by a chauffeur. I was like, what the frick is happening? This is anyway, she was lovely, yeah, but I was a bit kind of, how do I put it, a bit of a mess. I was kind of like a bunch of goo in a chrysalis. I wasn't really a caterpillar or a butterfly, because I was in the midst of a very rapid and comprehensive process of spiritual growth, and so my life was a bit of a chaotic mess. So I didn't mess the date up or anything, but I think if I had my stuff more together, there might have been a second date. It didn't really go wrong. There wasn't a second one. But yeah, I won't say her name, but yeah, she was a cool chick. And I met many Argentines in Ecuador, because a lot have gone there because the economy's tanked in Argentina, and in many cases it's actually better, and there's more job opportunities in Ecuador. So there's lots of them down on the coast, and yeah, I even met one in an airport at Lima on my way back from South America at the end of January this year, and we had like an hour-long conversation. At the airport in Santiago at like 2 AM, and it turned out she'd been living on the same part of the coast in Ecuador where I'd been living, just literally 15 kilometers from where I was. She'd lived in Alon, I'd lived in Ayampe. Yeah. They're very nice people overall. I've only had one bad experience with one, and he was an insecure, kind of toxic alpha male, who blasted me and with a kind of fiery anger in a bullying manner when I made a simple mistake. But you know, he was just a dick, and you get those people everywhere in all cultures. The vast majority I've met, including many alpha male type Argentines, are very sweet and kind. And so, yeah, I think Argentina will basically get what they deserve, which is, because, they're not perfect, but on balance, their national character is good, and that most people there have good energy. So they're gonna get what they deserve, which is good things, I think. So, I mean, I'd be surprised if this dream didn't come to pass just from that perspective, because as you sow, so shall you reap. Argentina hasn't been running around bombing and invading other countries. They mostly keep to themselves, and they're, yeah, mostly kind people. That's been my experience, and I've talked to other people, they say the same thing. So time will tell, but fingers crossed, eh? I think it will happen. They deserve it. Couldn't happen to a nicer bunch of people. Thanks.